Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of World Cup Talks Over Coffee. Enter Joel. So, yes, it has been a very, very exciting World Cup tournament so far. You know, some shocks like Germany got out. I'm like, wow, they should have been, trying to go further than getting the plane home and then getting the bags from the carousel at the airport. But anyway, let's talk about how the World Cup has been. Some teams has been amazing. Look at the African teams like Senegal, Cape Verde, Ghana, especially Ghana, Algeria, and some other great teams, who have really surprised me. If you take a look at Senegal, Senegal, they had it in the bag against Belgium in the knockout stages, and they should have won it. I thought Belgium wasn't a side, I don't know what's going on with Belgium, if I got any Belgian fans or Belgian subscribers from Belgium, you could put down in the comment and tell me what's going on, because I just don't understand why your manager is, putting players in the wrong positions, and I just don't understand it why you're doing it that way, where you got some of the best players like Trossard, who normally plays as a forward for Arsenal, and he's playing more as a winner. And then you got Lukaku, the guy who used to play for Chelsea. He used to play for Man United, and he also had played for a few other clubs in the past. And he's one of the few players at the World Cup who hasn't played the full season. And, he only played 59 minutes last season, which is incredible. It's like the same hour of you watching some sort of series or some film, like a short film. That's how long he has played. And he has produced some surprises for Belgium. It seemed to me like I'm going to be an impact sub. I'm going to be, the man for Belgium. So it is what it is. So yes, I wanted to introduce you a little bit. This is me drinking orange juice. You may be hearing some birds singing in the background or some planes going ahead above my head. So yeah, if you like my videos, you can always put a like, subscribe if you like to. I do calm, entertaining football videos like this one, but because of the World Cup is you got a lot of some people might be chasing for views and for comments and stuff, chasing the next thing, but the World Cup is so long, you don't need to chase every single story. So I'm just covering a few stories to here and there. Like, for example, I am English. I'm following England's journey, and I am really, really impressed with England's journey, because, how we, they say the way we dealt with Croatia, who are, I think they got knocked out by, did they get knocked out? Who did they get knocked out? I was watching the game anyway, but I was half asleep. So, yeah, they got knocked out. So, they are one of those teams no, did they get knocked out? Oh, anyway, the way I was half asleep. It's very, very difficult for some of us to be watching the World Cup in different time zone, and it's just incredibly difficult to try and follow all of the matches to keep up with all the stats and stuff. But like the guy who was the hero for the Americans, and he got sent off, and they compared him to Zinedine Zidane, to say no, he was the first player since Zinedine Zidane who got sent off in that World Cup final. And the thing is, there are a lot of journalists around the world trying to compare about our journey, saying, oh, let's say that Croatia conceded the first goal. Oh, let's say that DR Congo conceded the first goal against us. And they're trying to link it back to 1966 World Cup where England won that. But I'm like, that's a century ago. We just need to be focusing on now and stop comparing to the 1966. Because the football is completely different, and it's completely different ball game where you got VAR, and obviously they're charging the footballs like the mobile phones before the game. They have to charge it 6 hours before the game, and I'm like, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. The technology has grown so fast. They're using AI to, to find these stats, or the stats to come up with these things. But you know what? I'm just going to take an orange juice and chill. That's a nice orange juice, that. So, yes. Going back to some of the sides, like say some African teams I have mentioned, Ghana, Senegal, Algeria. Who else is still left in the? You can put down in the comments who else. Is there any of your countries that's still in the World Cup? So yeah, I am very, very amazed by some of the countries like Ghana, Senegal, and Algeria, because you've got some of the best players who play in the Premier League or maybe playing in the top 5 European leagues. Oh yes, Morocco are improving. Like let's say years before, Morocco was struggling for results, and then they came into this World Cup, and you look at them and you're thinking, wow, they really have improved. They have improved a lot. And, it seems to me that some of these players who were either was born in the country and grew up somewhere else, or either they were born through the parents, they might be born somewhere else and might decide, oh, I'll play for one of my parents' countries, or I might play for one of my grandparents' countries and play for them. There seems to be, there is acceptance through some of the players saying that they may not be good to play for England, they may not be good to play for France or Spain or one of the big major countries, but they decided, you know what, some of these African countries that I do hope I have some sort of, ancestry links, and be like, you know what, I will play for one of those African countries. And I think it's all down to the coaching system, the talents, and the fact you got most of the African countries going out worldwide and saying, you know what, I'm going to play for one of the clubs in the Premier League, or I'm going to play for someone like Bayern Munich or some clubs in Europe. And it has been a success for some of these countries like Morocco. Morocco, I think, if my facts are right, I think you maybe got like at least a few players who are, born in Morocco, raised in Morocco, and they also play for the Moroccan Football League system. And you got like some of the players who play for like Crystal Palace or for some of the big clubs in the Premier League. And that is major. That is absolutely major of the way, most of these countries have really invested into their talents and said, you know what, you may not be good enough to play for England, but you're good enough to play for either through your ancestry links. Right, let me take my hands juice. Like for me, I could play for 4 African countries, and I could be playing for Wales, I could be playing for Scotland, or I could be playing for England. When I used to play for football, used to play for a football club, and used to play football, and I mean, if there was a pathway for me to be representing some of these countries, I'll be so amazed and happy. But I have to think about the culture. Do I fit in the culture? Do I understand the language? And have I actually ever been to that country? So those are all the things I have in my mind. So it's one of those things. So yeah. So let's say for Cabo Verde, they are one of these surprise teams of the World Cup, and at the moment they will be playing against Argentina tonight, and if they do beat Argentina, who will be the biggest shocks in the footballing world. But if you think about how far they have come, they should be so proud of themselves. They're saying they're going to be playing against Argentina in a knockout round, in the last 32 of the World Cup. And that is amazing for a small country just off the African coast. And obviously the women, they are really hot and sexy. But I haven't been to the country, so I don't really know what it's like, but that's what I've been told. But their football system is unique, and I will be visiting the island hopefully very soon in the future, so I can go there, make a YouTube video about it, because their story has really fascinated me as a follower of football, as a man who likes the sport, and hopefully they will have nice orange juice. And the players who play for Cabo Verde, some of those players will be picked up and probably go on to play for some of the major clubs in Europe. That will be amazing. But the story really is amazing so far for the World Cup. And it's really good that you have, like islands like that. And Curacao as well, the Dutch island of Dutch Caribbean islands. And yes, they got knocked out of the group stage but that is something they should be proud of. So my question to you all is, let me know where you're from, and do you think there will be any future countries like Cape Verde could be in the World Cup in 4 years' time? I'll see you all for more Enter Joel's World Cup talks over coffee. Have a great day.